A missionary goes, he leads somebody to the Lord, he disciples that person and what it means to be a Christian and what it looks like to have a church. And then that person is sent out into the mission field, and they win somebody else to the Lord, and they disciple that person, and that person's taught about what it looks like to have a church and be in a church, and then they're sent out to lead another person to the Lord. So now 2 people are multiplying, and the disciples that they multiply, and over, a couple of years, what you see in those locations is churches are born. But the churches are not made up of people who are switching churches, like so often we see in America, because they didn't like the music or didn't like the preacher, so I'm going to this other church. No, you have unreached peoples. A church is full of previously unreached peoples who are actively engaged in the process of winning people to the Lord and discipling them. And so this missionary who started the movement is making sure that the disciples he made is making other disciples, and that the disciples that they made are making other disciples, and he takes responsibility to the 4th generation. But once it's past the 4th generation, he pulls out. And by that point, the movement reproduces itself all by itself. And it is unbelievable what has taken place in places like China and South America, where this gospel multiplication is happening. It's phenomenal. Churches planting churches without any official American pastor or any know-it-all doing anything. It's just a gospel movement. And by definitions, movements move without you having to manufacture the energy. And imagine if that kind of thing took place here. And how would it take place here? Is everyone going to be a missionary? No. When you read this text, you may think to yourself, well, that's something preachers do. And in one way, that's correct. Timothy had a unique obligation to entrust it to faithful men who can entrust it also. But just because Timothy had that responsibility doesn't mean that we all are relieved of any responsibility of multiplying our life in whatever degree, in whatever way we can. Because we can. Multiplying your life could be as simple as taking what you learn on a Sunday morning and sharing it with your family at the dinner table. Multiplying your life could be as simple as your small group taking what you've been given, what you've received, and blessing the city with it. So many of those Bless the City projects, that's just an example of a gospel multiplication. It could be sharing your faith with a coworker. It could be as simple as leading your children to love the Lord with all their heart, soul, mind, and strength. That's gospel multiplication. All that Paul is telling Timothy is, Timothy, put it on the front burner. Don't let it be incidental. Don't let it be something you think about after the fact. Wake up with this on your mind. Be strengthened by the grace that is yours in Christ Jesus, and be thinking all the time creative ways in which you can pass on what you've been given to faithful men.